Hello.
Hello.
Welcome back to Hot Take Table.
Yeah, home of hot takes, bad takes, ignorant takes.
Yeah, I'm Dylan.
I'm Raph.
And today we've got another hot take for you. This is back on the train of Dylan says stupid things and just hates everything.
We've gone back to our neutral state of being, I feel, in this episode.
Our neutral state of being is you being a decent human being and me being a shithole.
But me just being offended by your opinions on media.
Rightfully so.
Maybe.
I think have you read the comments?
I've seen them.
Have you seen real humans interact with me?
It happens from time to time.
It happens often.
All right.
We're talking about Gurren Lagann.
Yeah, the greatest show ever made.
So,
right, Dylan?
The benefit, real quick, I have at least seen Gurren Lagann.
You've seen all of Gurren Lagann?
I've seen between 4 and 8 episodes. Real quick, we're going to spoil everything.
Oh, yeah, this is a spoiler discussion right off the bat.
Everything.
Leave now if you don't know that Kamina dies. Get out of here. Go. I don't want to see your face. This man's dead, and we're gonna discuss.
Yeah, I didn't get that far.
But you just know that it happened.
Yeah, I know that.
Did I ever tell you that I had it spoiled for me, but I didn't know that it was spoiled for me? Like, it was. So here you will understand this.
Okay.
I read it.
Someone just said it, and you're just like, you're lying.
No. I read it in a doujinshi before I started watching Gurren Lagann, and I didn't know characters' names. I didn't retain things, but there was like a whisper of like, I'm not big bro. I'm like he's gone. He's dead now. But I'm gonna be myself, and I'm like, I wonder what this show's about. But I watched it. I didn't watch it literally as it aired, but very close. Like, I feel like I was like with the internet discussion of it, but I don't think like simulcasted anime was where it is just yet.
That reminds me of an unrelated thing, but somewhat related. So, I thought that Ava, the entire show, took place in space before I watched it. I thought that it was entirely a space show, and it's because there was one Ava Dojin that was like in space for some reason. I don't know. And that was my entire exposure to Ava aside from the theme song.
How early in your life was this experience?
This was among the first 40 Dojins I read.
Ooh, okay. I was going to say there are key pieces of secondary media where that might be specific rebuild stuff. But
This was I was in like fucking middle school or something, so like this was before Rebuild.
It must be just the curse of Gainax's character designs, because that's the linking thread here, right? Where we're both reading content with Gainax people in it, and we're learning some things that we shouldn't, maybe.
Yeah,
man, Gainax is so good. You know what's good about Gainax? Giant robots. We all love giant robots, right, Dylan?
I don't like giant robots.
If you recall,
let me correct that though. Okay,
all right,
because you're baiting me here.
I am.
You don't need to. I'm gonna say stupid shit that people are gonna hate.
I don't need to provoke you into it. I don't need no trap cards.
Me into that. I'll do it of my own volition. All right. So I obviously I like giant robots. Okay, giant robots are cool.
Okay.
I don't like anime giant robots.
There's a distinction with anime giant robots. I feel I don't know if you've seen like this like line delineated, but there are like super robot shows and like real robot shows. Have you seen that end of internet discussion before?
No.
So like you have like things that are like treating mechs like they're like military equipment. This is like the Gundam end of things, right? And then you have distinctly the opposite end, where super robots are like Gurren Lagann, where it's just like, you're the power of your manliness and your fighting spirit is what feels the thing. And this is my preference, but I'm here for both. Yeah,
I mean, I'm not here for either, I think. One, because I hate the military. I'll just say that.
You're speaking quiet a little bit.
Second, so I don't like when it's military equipment. And I was going to say unless, but I don't think there's an exception to that. Number two, I don't like the whatever the manliness shit you said. That I'm just like whatever.
Fighting spirit. You don't like fighting spirit. Dylan doesn't like fighting spirit. Hottest take of them all.
I don't know. Fighting spirit sounds a lot better than manliness. I don't know. I think all space anime is bad. Sci-fi anime is bad. I don't think there's any good. Except for Legend of Galactic Heroes, I haven't seen it. And it's the one thing I haven't seen that I won't say is bad.
It's pretty good. It's pretty good. I feel
I'll watch it and then say it's bad.
There's like a certain like this is definitely off top, but there's like a certain air of like anime elitism when it comes to that show where it's like it's the greatest one. After you watch this, you won't be able to watch other anime. You won't be able to take anything else seriously.
I want to watch other anime, so.
And that's a wild opinion. I can't stand. Like I watched that show, and I'm like that was pretty good. I do feel touched by it. Gurren Lagann is my favorite show. It was before and it was after. That didn't necessarily change that. It doesn't invalidate the experience of hype.
Yeah, I watched the first episode of Gurren Lagann, and I've recently told you this story again.
Yeah,
you were there for it when it happened, so this is old news.
You want to tell the audience this tale?
Yeah, Ralph. I've known Ralph for like what 6 years now, 7 years, something like that.
Sounds about right.
Since day one, he's told me that Gurren Lagann is the greatest anime.
I probably kicked down the door and said, "Hello, you spelled my name with an F, and Gurren Lagann is the best TV media ever made."
Just like, okay, but what's your name? Where does the F go?
That comes later. The F is for later, dog.
Later, it doesn't have an F.
Later.
So, I think about 3 or 4 years into knowing you, I finally listened to you.
Cracks.
I finally was like, all right, I respect this man enough. I'll watch Gurren Lagann. I watched the first episode and I did not like it. And then I came to you and I said, Raph, I thought that the first episode wasn't very good. I didn't like it. Is this just one? And I was being reasonable.
Yeah.
I was being
to
very
be fair,
reasonable.
he was being open-minded, but in a way that I couldn't tolerate.
And so I went to him and I'm just like, look, is this just one of those shows that takes a while to get into it? Like, does hype shit happen later and it's just got like a bad intro? Like, what's going on here? And you said it has the greatest first episode of all anime. If you don't like that, I don't know what to tell you.
He retold me that story very recently, like maybe like an hour before we recorded this, right? And I was like thinking it through, and I'm like, no, past me was right. I still feel that way.
And then recently, as of today, you've told me that Gurren Lagann turns into a space opera.
It does.
And there's other hype shit, and there's a time skip and all of this shit I didn't know about.
Yeah.
And I'm like, Raph, why didn't you fucking tell me that before? This is shit that I can get on
He was
board
getting
with.
like resold on it. I was like, all right, I'll give it a second win. And like, if the conclusion of this episode is Dylan watches some more of Gurren Lagann, comes back, and then we do a Gurren Lagann is better than X or Y show discussion, I would be very happy. I would love that.
Yeah, but I watched 4 episodes, maybe 5, maybe
What's
6.
the last thing you remember happening?
Okay, I don't remember order because I have a terrible memory and time doesn't exist. But I remember that there were the most recent things. They met other people.
Okay.
That were like they had bombs or something.
Yeah.
There were 2 sisters. They wanted to fuck Kamina or
Correct.
the kid. I think Kamina. I think the kid wanted to fuck them.
Simone doesn't develop testosterone until quite some time.
I'm familiar with what puberty is.
Yeah, it doesn't happen for a bit. Sometimes
Thank you for the refresher.
It's been a while. Puberty until someone kills your spiritual big brother. One way or the other.
I don't
that's
think
the sequence
that's how
it has to happen. It has to happen. There's like there is like an episode in Gurren Lagann that I like. I think my brother and I colloquially refer to it as like the episode where like Simone's balls drop, because they're just like is a moment where they haven't and then where they have like it's like after Kamina dies,
they show it on screen.
They show you just the X-ray view Mortal Kombat. But like there's an episode where Kamina dies, and maybe for like the next like 2 to 3 episodes, or Simone just mourning maybe slightly longer than would be the appropriate amount of time. He just has like bad mojo for a while, and at first everyone like on the team is like understanding, is like, well, he pretty much just lost what was his big brother. And then everyone's like, yo, Simone, you kind of have to like take leadership right now. I think you're like, we need someone at the helm. If it's not you, let us know. And he's like, oh, just give me a little bit of time, just something to like. He literally like vomits on screen a few times, and then he digs a big hole through something. He's like, I get it now. And then he fights some people, and immediately he's like, I'm not my big brother. I'm my own person. I have to do my own thing, carve my own path. It gives a big shonen speech. It's beautifully animated, and then he's a fully realized man.
I've just understood something. So you love that trope in anime.
Oh,
It's your
absolutely.
absolute favorite.
It might be my favorite.
I have no respect for that.
Ooh, what do you mean?
It started. I'm still formulating this opinion.
Okay,
but
okay.
I'm starting to realize
talk
this
through it.
because I'm noticing the trends, right?
Yeah,
like,
there are trends.
Ava has similar like coming of age
Mhm.
moments in it, and
for sure.
stuff.
I mean, they're produced by much of the same staff, right?
Yeah, and I think that that's a really common trend in anime,
Absolutely.
especially
I mean, it's
like
targeted towards young men more often than not, right?
yeah, especially from like that era had
Yeah.
a lot more of that stuff, and I've never got with it. I don't know. I don't know what it is.
I don't know what that is either.
I just don't respect coming of age stories, I guess.
Maybe that's weird. I remember there was like some unrelated opinion. This was, believe it or not, I was reading a book once, and some secondary character was like
with like pages.
With like well, I might have not experienced it with pages.
I found out what those were recently.
I'm thinking it through. It might have been an audiobook. I really don't remember what it is because it was something like a conversation between a secondary and a tertiary character whose names I don't remember. But I do remember this moment where there was like a plucky adventurer type who's like, oh, you know, man, I gotta go out there. I gotta tell my own story. I gotta like experience art. And this like older character was like, nah, man. Art is a young man's game. Once you get old, like you don't necessarily need it as much anymore, and that stuck with me in like a weird kind of way. And I feel like even Gurren Lagann like steps on those themes a little bit. I only recently told you that there was a time skip, right?
Yeah.
There is a time skip after the time skip as well, like a post-credits time skip that shows like old man Simone, right? And like at that moment, you've seen enough of Gurren Lagann to see that like the "who the hell do you think I am" line, right?
No.
Oh god, it's like Kamina's catchphrase functionally, right? Kamina has a moment where like,
I'm sorry, when I hear that, I just think of fucking Pete Weber with the "Who do you think you are? I am."
No, is it better?
Which is such a fucking lie.
Is it better if I hit you with a "Daddy? Does that help?
I don't think of Pete Weber anymore.
Oh god, think about Kamina, think about me, think about Kamina, think about Simone, think of them in that order. But that's his whole shtick for a long time. Like he gets into an encounter and like first time he'll say it as a gag and people will be like, oh, what the hell? Who do you think you are? Speaking of which, there's that first episode, right? Which I noted was one of the best opening episodes.
No, you said the best.
I agree with myself. There's a bit. I think he says it right then and there. He like approaches like the village leader, and the village leader's like they're doing like a whole like allegory of the cave situation where they're like, "There's no outside world. Everything that matters is here in this cave, dog. There is no ceiling. Doesn't exist." Kamina, you know, he's the dreamer, he's the believer type of guy. He's like, "No, there's an outside world. I'm gonna go to there." And giant robot busts down from the ceiling, exposing the sky. And his leader's on the floor, and he's got he's just got like a katana that the leader always just kind of like beats the other like village people with, right? And while this dude is on the floor, Kamina like steps on the sword, and in the most unrealistic and stylish way, the sword like flips up his body, and like he like drapes it over his back. It is the most Gainax like Imaishi like cut of animation ever. It's so good. And immediately afterwards, Kamina comes in like, oh, and then he says the line. He's like, "Who the hell do you think I am?" He says this to the dude who's like come down from the ceiling. He's like, I mean, I don't know. And then like later, people are like, they like approach others. They're like, "Who the hell do you think I am?" They're like, "Oh, I've kind of heard about you. You're like somewhat of a big deal." And then like that becomes a rallying cry. And then at the very last episode, after Simone's an old man and his legacy has been forgotten, he's teaching a young boy how to like open a coconut, right? And he's doing it with a drill. And the kid's like, "Oh wow, old man, you're so amazing." He's like, "Of course I am. Who the hell do you think I am?" And the kid just ignores him and he's drinking the coconut water. He's like, guess I'm no one. And it's that energy. It's that like, no, future generations need this. I think I'm good for now. I'm not at that point in my life. I would love to be at that point in my life.
You want to be almost dead?
Someday, if I get lucky. Someday I'll be like right, but like I want to be like a rad old man, you know.
I guess that's admirable.
My life's ambition is to be an old guy with a cool past that isn't relevant anymore.
I mean, Yeah, that's
Sure,
fine.
sure.
I just so my big issue, and this is another just like of my awful opinions. I think I'm scared to say this one, but
Go
I
for it.
think like the like 2000 to 2008 is the worst era in anime.
Like visually, or
No, just
okay.
period.
Why do you feel this way?
I'll include the 90s in there too if you're gonna push me on it.
Yeah, I will. In fact, 'cause I think like there's an argument that I'm open to where there's like, well, like this is the era where like anime is shifting over to like a digitized production, and there are some shows that like have signs of growing pains through that transition. Like I associate like a lot of like Gonzo work with that like era.
I really don't have much issue with it visually. I mean, I do think that like I don't really like a lot of the style of a lot of this stuff. So like I wouldn't say I love like Gurren Lagann's style very much.
Oh, man.
Like I don't know. It looks, and this is the classic example of like you can't say it's generic. It's the thing that made it popular.
Yeah.
But like it just looks generic to me.
I mean, do you like? I feel like it's not. Gurren Lagann doesn't look generic, but it looks like Trigger in such a way that this is the first. Well, Fully Cooley also, but it's the first thing that you can point at and be like, "That's the Trigger style." And now there's like maybe like 6 or 7 shows that look very similar to this.
I mean,
but
I definitely don't like the Trigger style.
Oh man, that's the best style though.
I don't like
that's by
Trigger
far
stuff
the best
really
style. Did you see Promare?
No.
It's. I mean, I guess you wouldn't like it, but it's so stylish. It's so fresh. It really is just Gurren Lagann truncated to an hour and 45 minutes, though. That's not bad.
Honestly, that sounds better than Gurren Lagann.
No, it is not. But like, if you could get like a room of people together to get excited, also just musically, that show is good.
I do like music.
Yeah, put it on a good speaker system. Get the boys around. Throw some. You'll find a guy. You'll find a nice Craigslist man with a good speaker system to offer. Get some popcorn, throw it at the screen, yell at the movie as it goes on. You'll love it.
I don't know. Maybe. I'm thinking, I don't know that there is a single anime from like 1990 to 2008 that I like.
That is. Ooh. I mean, do you feel that same way about video games also?
No, I don't think there are any good video games.
Okay.
No, I mean, there's definitely games from that era. Like Kingdom Hearts.
That's true. That comes from
Kingdom Hearts 2 is maybe my favorite game.
Okay.
And that is distinct. Wait. No, that was 2006, I want to say. Okay. I forget when Kingdom Hearts 2 was. It was before 2006.
Yeah. I feel like 2006 is like the line when like the PS3, like 2006, 2007, I think is the transition between consoles.
2003 was nothing. 4 was Chain of Memory. So I think 2005.
The only reason I asked that is because you've said some questionable things about older video games in the past, right? Yeah. So I was wondering if this was along the same train of thought.
Old video games, I think specifically, the only issue I have with them is like early 3D.
Yeah.
I think that people only like early 3D games because of nostalgia, and I think like if you look at them, early 3D games are really important for the transitional period that they served. But I think that they have done their duty, and there's no reason to go back and play.
Definitely.
This is so aside.
Yeah, the conversation for another time. There's very limited 3D animation Gurren Lagann, and it's way better for it. Way better for it.
Full conversation about why I hate that era. We can do another episode on that. Why PS1, all N64, those suck. They're bad.
We're gonna talk about Neo Turf Masters. Is what we're gonna do.
That's not on N64.
No, it's not.
On Neo
it's Neo Geo, but it's a contemporary. Anyway, Gurren Lagann. So you mentioned you don't like giant robots. You didn't like the opening episode. I can understand,
and I didn't like the 4 or 5 that followed it.
I can understand maybe not liking or not being crazy about maybe like the next 2 episodes. But like shortly after,
I will say the second episode is distinctly a lot worse than the first one.
It is.
And I already think the first one isn't good.
I don't understand that opinion. Fundamental. What do you not like about the first episode?
I mean, I think that what I don't like about the first episode is what I don't like about everything that I've watched of the show, which is one, I don't like Simon. I don't like the kid at all.
I mean, how do you feel about like archetypes like Shinji, right? Like the characters who actively have quite a bit of growth to do.
Yeah, no, I don't like that. I think that it's so common in anime. I think I finally identified my issue with that trope is that I don't really have a whole lot of respect for the someone starts off being ignorant and stupid and just like worthless
Mhm.
and then transitions to being super amazing and super powerful. Like I think that that's just like a stupid growth that I don't really respect. What I prefer is like much more like kind of subtle growths. Like I think that a character
Mm.
can grow to being better without the drastic like being completely
You
worthless
you don't want
to
to see
being the height
someone go
of all men.
from a baby to a king of a nation that they founded themselves.
Yes.
Okay.
Like I'm fine with seeing someone start. No, I'm not fine with seeing someone start as a baby. Give me an
Mm.
interesting character. Why can't
No,
the character
no,
be interesting from episode 1?
no. People get interesting
Why
as they go.
why does the character have to be only good in retrospect?
That's not true for Simo.
I mean, if that's not true, then I don't like him. Period.
Well,
The-
I mean, like you're saying that like you don't want to look back at a character and be like, yeah, they were pretty cool.
No,
Is
no, no.
that-
What I mean is like, so I think the first time you start watching, let's use Ava for example,
Okay.
because it's a lot easier.
Yeah, yeah.
Like Ava, Shinji is a shithead, right? And when
Shinji's
you
way
first
more
start
contentious
watching
than
it,
Simone.
in the first few episodes, you don't know that that's the point.
Yeah, that absolutely
It's
is
not
the point.
explained to you that that's
Mhm.
the point. You later realize it, right?
Yeah.
So in retrospect, you can look at Shinji and say that was a good character with good
Mhm.
character development. But when you are watching it for the first time, you don't see that. It takes you a few episodes to understand, oh, this is a growth the character is moving on. And honestly, I think in the case of Gurren Lagann, not Gurren Lagann, but Ava, this is
Mhm.
aside, I think it takes the whole fucking show. Like, I think the
Interesting.
point of the show is that. And from what you've
Yeah.
said, it sounds like Gurren Lagann is somewhat similar.
Some like I would say like Simone has like a lot of growth very early, right? And then maybe
Maybe past the first 5 episodes.
like the first like third of the show, he becomes like pretty much what he's gonna be for the rest of it. Then he has like there's a time skip like into adulthood. And then like there's like his like additional growth like beyond that. Cause like this is major spoilers. I mean, we already scared away anyone who didn't know, right? But like in the second half of the show, like Shinji, God, you got me.
We can't talk about both of the shows at the
Gosh.
same time.
So,
They're
like,
the same show.
So like Simone is like functionally like a warrior. He is a combatant, right? And he like grows into that role. And because like he was like the George Washington, so to speak, he becomes
Don't
like
ever say that again.
he becomes the first president of like the new world after they like establish their society, right? But he is not adept at like the skills necessarily like needed for like managing a populace.
Mhm.
And like a good chunk of the secondary like character arc is like him learning like what responsibilities to like delegate and which things he can take on under for himself and what tasks are appropriate for him. And like how much he needs like the approval of. He goes through like the Dark Knight character arc towards the second half a little bit, right? He gets like vilified by the people at one point. And then like keeps on doing good business from the shadows, starts working with antagonists or previous antagonists for the betterment of society to fight like a newer villain. It's the good stuff, so to speak.
Hear me out. And this is going to sound wild.
Mhm.
Why not just read Dune instead?
Way less drills.
Do you know that?
I know they're in the desert, and I know they are mining for resources, but no one ever, please correct me if wrong. Please correct me if I'm wrong. But nobody in Dune yells Giga Drill Breaker while a volcano explodes in the background.
I haven't finished reading Messiah yet. So
Ooh,
I
they
can't.
can still there's still hope.
Yeah. There's 5 more books I haven't
If you
finished.
find out that happens, please report back as
I will
quickly
let
as you
you
can.
know as soon as possible.
All right, they're like here's like a very endearing bit in Gurren Lagann, largely unrelated to all the other bits. But there's this idea in Gurren Lagann that comes from the sheer stupidity of humanity, which is that the more faces you have, the stronger you are. So at the point that we're doubling up sunglasses, so Kamina's fighting a dude, and he's got his face and he's got like a helmet on him, right?
I think I remember that.
Yeah, and he's like, oh yeah, my like honorable helmet, like you'll never compete with this. And Simone has one robot, and Kamina has another, and they lampoon the idea of like combining mechs,
Yeah.
right? And Kamen is like, oh, I get it. You're better because you have two faces. We could have two faces too, right? And then like he like grabs just like the drill of like Lagann, like the little guy. He just like mashes it into his head and is like crooked and he like rotates it on. He's like, see, we got two heads out too. We'll kick your ass. And they're like, that's really dumb. But then it works.
It just works.
But then it works. And then they get sunglasses on those later. And that if at some point in Dune, someone does something as rad as to get a robot with two faces and two sets of sunglasses, that's the energy you're getting from Gurren Lagann that you're not getting from Dune. You're getting excitement and love.
So I guess all the Dune comparison I was just trying to make is the seeing someone grow from being like, you know, not very much to being very powerful, like supremely powerful, and sometimes make questionable decisions with that power.
Right.
And like seeing the weight of that. And I mean, the reason I brought it up is because I think that it's the better thing of it is like, Paul doesn't start, and I'm not going to spoil Dune. Just for I'm not going to spoil Dune.
Despite it being ancient, a little too recent, right?
Yeah, it's ancient, but nobody respected it until Denis Villeneuve made a Dune movie.
Everyone was like, "What's a book?" They were like, where I'm at.
Where did this come from? Hey, Benny Gesserit, aren't they just like Jedi without lightsabers?
That's way lamer. They got a pain box though. That was crazy.
They came first though.
But what about the pain box? Gurren Lagann might be a little better with a pain box. I like the pain box.
Everything would be better with a Gom Jabbar scene.
Yeah, I think I agree.
Everything would be better if they had something called a Gom Jabbar.
It's not called the Gom Jabbar, but like I think you must have seen this episode if you saw the brotherly combining bit, which we will refer to as brotherly combining for the record. Which is not homoerotic at all. I should. No.
And honestly, if it was better,
even better. Oh, there's a bathhouse episode. You didn't get to that.
Don't like that.
Oh no, you would like it.
I don't know. You
would like it. I promise you would like it.
I think it's exactly what I don't like about that era of anime.
No.
Okay, we'll see.
All right. So there's if you were to watch the show on Netflix, you probably don't actually get the bathhouse episode. It gets edited out and like is like half a recap episode and half like recontextual. Yeah. I mean, like, I think that was the broadcast TV version, right? And I think, like,
Fuck
TV. Get them out of here. Just replace them all with monitors. Replace them all with lizards. But the actual version of that episode is quite funny. It involves, as many anime of the era do, and I'm imagining you're thinking like, I know where we go. It involves the boys trying to peek over them walls, see them gals.
Yeah.
But in like the silliest kind of way. I
just think no matter how it's portrayed, that's never entertaining.
You give it a shot. Give it a shot when the time comes. When the time comes, and potentially you give the show a second time. When you're like, hey, I think I'm at that bathhouse episode. Ask me for the real files.
You know what? I will watch it. You know, I will. And you know what? Fuck it. I will even watch it before I edit this video, and I will put. I'm not gonna watch everything. I'm just gonna skip to that episode. I'll watch that episode, and I'm gonna put right here if I agree with Ralph or not. And I guarantee you that I won't.
You tell me watch this. Tell me you watch this wherever this text is. Tell me you watch this and tell me if you laughed. That's the metric I'm going for. Was it funny?
There's no way that I'm gonna laugh.
You're gonna laugh. You're gonna laugh.
I just think.
I think the pressure of me saying you're not gonna laugh is gonna make it even funnier. You're laughing right now. Nothing's even happened yet. You don't know about the stars and the moon. You don't know about a man's passions.
I know a lot about stars and moons.
Oh, you'll learn about peaks and valleys, all that shit.
I just think it's always. I mean, it's just gross every time.
I don't even disagree. I don't even disagree with that idea, and I would say the show is with you, and that's why it's funny.
I don't.
You'll have to see the specific. Well, we'll put this point aside. Yeah. I forget what the larger point that I had was when I mentioned.
Yeah, I'm not sure how this relates to Dune.
Shoot, no bathhouse episode in Dune. Dune's not about fulfilling the desires.
No,
of your heart.
The whole point of Dune is that there's not enough water.
There's plenty of water in the bathhouse.
I know, the complete opposite.
There's plenty of it. There's plenty of water. There's giant robots. There's levity and love and tragedy.
There's so little water in Dune that people drink their
they gotta spit on it, man. You gotta spit on each other. That's the ultimate sign of respect. If that's the love you've got for me, if that's your levity, I don't want it. There's a bit in that like early first episode. Someone offers Kamina some coffee. They're like, "Good morning, sunshine. Have some coffee." And Kamina like looks at the mug and he's like, "What is this like dirty poop water? I don't want this." And first off, I love that. I love that this man doesn't know what coffee is. They give him a gun at that episode and they're like, "You know how to use one of these, right?" He's like, "Who the hell do you think I am?" And then he approaches a dude to steal his robot from him, and he threatens him by holding like the gun upside down, and that is also the best thing ever.
Yeah, I don't agree. I think it's dumb. I just don't.
No, it's great.
Continuing the trend of things I don't like. You stopped me after I said I don't like Simon.
Oh, that's right.
I don't like Kamina either, which I think is worse in your opinion. It's a worse opinion.
Here's the thing: Kamina is deliberately a flawed character, right? He's like a cautionary tale about like unbridled, reckless growth, right? And I think beforehand I mentioned that like there is like a political,
Dune, but worse.
We'll come back. I can't even wrap my head around the idea
Every
that
piece of sci-fi is just Dune but worse.
Kamina is Dune but worse. If you put that as the title for this video, that would be the hottest opinion you've ever had in your whole life.
I mean, a cautionary tale against reckless growth is just Dune.
I can vibe with that. But like
what the fuck do you think a Kwisatz Haderach is?
Oh, the Tesseract. I see. But so like. Part of the Kamina situation is like, Kamina is like a cool aspirational figure, but you don't necessarily want to be Kamina because, you know.
I don't think you know what aspirational means then.
Well, he's a nice figure to build a monument of, right?
You want to aspire to be, but
you don't want to go all the way. You don't want to go full Kamina. You want to be a measured, never be full Kamina. There's a character later on. He's like part of like the show's like broader commentary on religion, and it doesn't in like that kind of like JRPG Final Fantasy Tactics portrayal of the church kind of way. I don't think you hit any of that. Is the episode that's in grayscale? You will
I don't
notice.
know that. Yeah, I'm colorblind. I don't remember. Was it the one where they go to the underground place?
Yes. Yeah.
I did see that one.
Okay.
Funnily enough, I did think that was the best episode
I feel
that
like
I watched.
That show is like a microcosm of like the greater like talking points of Gurren Lagann, because like effectively they keep like repeating this cycle where there's like, oh, there's a new man in power who like places limits on their people. Let's dethrone that man, and like, you know, we'll put on our own new limits, and we'll just keep going there. Yeah. Then there's like a new figurehead that they have to dethrone, so they dethrone that guy. And then there's a new and you know, you do the JRPG escalation thing until you kill God.
Hold on, now I'm remembering my opinion on that episode. I remember watching that episode and thinking that it was just a worse version of the FMA episode.
I could see that. I would say like its ramifications later on end up being a bit different. Cause I feel like FMA is like a little more directly critical on the church, but I feel like Gurren Lagann is like more like introspective on the idea of like you don't like want to like burn yourself out, because it's sci-fi. Naturally, the conversation ends up being about like the consumption of resources and like global energy crisis, as things are want to do once you enter sci-fi.
I'm gonna say it again.
I know.
Say it again. I'm gonna say it again.
I know. It's like a sci-fi.
It's just Dune but worse.
It's like a sci-fi. What's the worst part? I've only heard parts of that are like Dune but better.
There's nothing that's Dune but better.
Gurren Lagann seems to be Dune but better.
There's no sandworms.
There might be sandworms. They spend a lot of time in the desert. I'm trying to think. No, there's like a it's serpentine, but it is fuzzy, and they do eat it.
Okay, I
that
guarantee
episode's actually the worst episode of the show.
Even if there is sandworms, I guarantee that sandworms don't poop drugs.
They do not. I'm confident.
Now tell me it's better than Dune.
The episode of Gurren Lagann that most resembles Dune is the worst episode of Gurren Lagann, because it's normally playing at such a higher level. The chess is 10-dimensional, dog. But yeah, like that like cycle of like, oh, like, you know, you're just looking for a new king to dethrone. So eventually that character, like they call him like Forehead Boy. You remember Forehead Boy? Daikosuke? This piece of shit. This piece of shit character is like maybe the single most hateable character in like it's that like you dislike him for all the reasons the director wants you to dislike him until you start understanding him. He's just very well written. Is the TLDR. He does exactly what he's supposed to do. But that character eventually is the character who actually is suited to like the political machinations end of things. But he does so in like a very like calculated way with no heart. He's doing the whole like, you know, we do the greatest good for however many we could benefit, which tends to be the social elites. And Simon's like, well, fuck that. Let's just actually fix the problem.
Wait, is Gurren Lagann just eat the rich?
A little bit.
You should have led with that.
If the rich were aliens, which makes it way more complicated, right? There's an Eat the Rich arc. One Piece is the Eat the Rich show.
One Piece is Eat the Rich.
One Piece is definitely the Eat the Rich. You gotta get on that. you gotta get on to the world nobles. That's a whole thing in One Piece. In Gurren Lagann, it's like your old best friend decides that like starts working for Amazon and then like puts into measures policies that only benefit his own kind and everyone else literally can die. There's like
then you eat him. You eat your best friend.
You eat him. There's like a Noah's Ark situation, right? So he's like, oh, our best and brightest. How about we put them all here? Let's like vilify Simone as like a martyr for humanity, so that we can like get our friends onto the ship before like the planet destroys itself. And Simone's like, fuck that. How about, okay. So that ship that they're gonna get on?
Yeah.
Here's one of those, there's a certain intersection between like childish like themes and hype shit and you know thoughtful discussion that happens in Gurren Lagann, which is the best type of media every time. So they're like, oh, we got to get on like the new ship to start our space colony. That ship, Simone takes it over and it becomes a giant robot, naturally. A more giant robot than the previous giant robot. And then that giant, they end up fighting the moon at one point. Dr. Eggman, you see that? I'm gonna piss on the moon. You have 24 hours until the piss droplets drop on the earth. If you don't know what that is, don't put a link to it. This is.
If you don't know what it is, I feel sorry for you.
Yeah, there's very little context that we can provide. It's a Sonic the Hedgehog fan dub thing. It's very funny.
It's just Sonic.
Sorry about that. Dr. Eggman piss on the moon. Look that up. Put that in your Google search results. But so they fight the moon.
Yeah.
And then they realize the moon is also a giant robot. A giant robot so giant that the giant robot sits in the cockpit of the giant robot to pilot the giant robot. And that happens like 3 more times until they're literally the size of the universe. I understand that sounds like simultaneously the dumbest and best thing ever.
Nope,
but
just the former.
Literally, they throw galaxies at each other later, dog. They're dodging galaxies from one another. And one of them, the main antagonist ends up attacking them with the literal Big Bang at one point. He just rubs galaxies and throws it at them. And meanwhile, they're having a deep conversation on the value of the human spirit. And like the best, it's the best version of a shonen final boss.
I mean, you're wrong. The best version of a shonen final boss is literally just yourself. It's always the best. The best when you just fight yourself at the end.
Oh, you're talking about like Dark Link?
Yeah.
No, you fight Dark Link like midway through, and then
end the show.
Or even better, your big brother's Dark Link, and he dies, and you got to deal with that.
I don't know. I wish that I was the type of person that liked that kind of shit. It's so easy to like. I look at it. It's so hard for me to like.
I feel like you have to turn off a part of yourself to be able to not like that.
I guess that part's long gone.
Oh, man.
I don't know.
You already passed that threshold where you're like, oh, yeah, stories are a young man's game. I don't need that anymore in my life. You've already passed that threshold. You've burst that bubble.
Yeah, I don't know. That shit
No, that's the stuff. That's the stuff.
Give me something with substance.
We got meat. We got potatoes. Here's the thing. So you have the substance all the way to that, and then you get that as the payoff, right?
I just think it's so. I think anime fans are just like idiots. Because here's the thing. You see stuff like that and you're like, no, it's amazing. But then you see things like Darling in the Franxx, which is equally dumb. The ending is also very stupid. And everyone's like, no, that's terrible.
Any premise can be good. the only thing that's variable is the execution of it, right? So like you could be like Death Note's about a dude who finds a notebook that kills people, right? And like you could execute that same premise good or poorly. And like the quality of the show is like you like slice of life content, right?
Yeah.
The synopsis of any slice of life show is probably not the most compelling for a general audience, but sometimes it's comfy and you end up liking the characters and care about them. The only thing that matters is execution at the end. The best-selling video game franchise of all time is about a plumber who jumps on reptiles.
Yeah, I don't like Mario. Did you forget we made a
I
whole
know.
episode? Your examples, you're bringing up things I don't like. I don't like Death Note. I don't like
One of
Mario.
your favorite video game franchises is about a young boy in clown shoes who becomes a man with his pet dog and
mouse
duck.
shoes. They're Mickey Mouse's
sorry,
shoes.
his mouse shoes. They're not literally his shoes. You didn't go to Mickey Mouse R Us and like, I would like your
They
finest.
are.
They are not his shoes. Let me see that. Let me see. Does that happen in 358/2? Does there?
No, that was probably a fanfic.
All right.
That one was probably a fanfic.
Let me see that fanfic.
It's every Kingdom Hearts fan has a big issue where it's like you can't remember what is canon and what is yaoi fanfiction.
I understand that. Oh, I haven't talked about Nia yet.
Who?
Nia?
Nia.
Simone's future wife.
Yeah.
So here's a little anecdote.
Okay.
Spoiler warning. Nia dies at like the second episode of the show, or second to last episode of the show, or the last episode. She's a heroic sacrifice type of situation in a somewhat contrived way. Truth be told, but
I don't like heroic sacrifices. I think they're dumb.
yeah, I get it. But she is a character who's very easy to like. I'm not gonna say that she's like the most compelling female character. She's just very nice. And she ends up having
better than Yoko then.
She's better than Yoko. That's a whole they got like the rivalry
bar,
situation. Yoko's great. Yoko is a well-written female character. I would not necessarily say that Nia is like a model of femininity. But I like her. She's a sweet girl, and I like Simone, and I see myself in Simone. So this is nice. It's easy to like them. But at some point, I convinced my mother to watch Gurren Lagann, right? And much the same.
You had your mother watch that?
Yeah. She watched it. So she watches the show, and like
I'm just gonna tell you right now, Rav. All right, and maybe I shouldn't be saying this on the internet. The only circumstances that I would watch something that looks like that is with my dick in my hand.
What if you believed it to be the best story ever told?
I'd still do it with my dick in hand.
I don't blame you. But my mom's watching the show, and she's like watching the earlier chunks, right? And she's like, yeah, I get it now. I see why you boys like this show. It's got a big titty. You guys like big titty. That's why you like the show. I see.
She's
And
right.
we're like, no, mama.
Based
No, mama. Keep watching. And I'm already like living in Washington at this point in my life, right? We're already like divided by sex. She's like, all right, whatever.
Hold on. Did your mom watch Gurren Lagann before me?
Literally, yes. Literally, yes. So, a few months go by, and I get a phone call from my mom. And I'm like, oh, hey, Mom, what's up? She's like, hey, so, I finished that show you like. And I'm like, which one? Like the Gurren Lagann one? I'm like, oh, yeah? What you think? And she's like, I just don't understand why Nia had to die. So she goes through the whole journey. That's what I'm about. Like I don't think Gurren Lagann is a hard sell. I think
it is.
I think it's a hard sell if you're not 14 potentially. If you've got the spirit of boyhood in you, it's a very easy sell. If not, it might be a little too action figure-y maybe to get into it, but it picks up so fast because it opens so hard, and then it kind of just Gurren Lagann is a show that just scales exponentially, which means by the end of it's like if you're thinking of like the interest curve to Gurren Lagann, let's say any other show starts here. Let's say Gurren Lagann starts here, and then it's just like a steep incline, and then it just becomes a vertical line.
You can't possibly say that when you've already agreed that the second episode is worse than the first. That literally can't be an incline.
It's interesting. You're fleshing out the world a little more, but The second episode is better. I do agree with that. I mean, you can average the curve. You can put a little smoothing thing on it. Whatever. Whatever. Do math.
See, anytime you say stuff about Gurren Lagann, like the space opera parts and like the time skippy parts and all that, that starts to interest me, and like more of the political intrigue type things. Like I start to get interested. And then you say things like that, and I'm like, but it already starts so bad.
How?
Man,
this is the point. We keep coming back to this point of this
Here's the
episode.
thing.
I just don't get it.
In the comments, okay, or if you're someone who knows me and is watching this, just let me know. Did you watch Gurren Lagann? Do you agree with Ralph that it's just all gravy, it's all amazing? Like, I'm 5 or 6 episodes in. Is Ralph just being ridiculous? And the correct response to me is no, just tough it out. It gets good in like 3 episodes.
That's fair.
I will say, if anyone would tell me that, I would watch those episodes.
Let me give this bit of context. Then maybe this is a healthier way for you to think about the like. Oh yeah, it's just good and gets better.
Yeah.
Anytime I do the Gurren Lagann rewatch, I forget how far they go on their journey, so to speak. So I'm like, oh god, they're still in the desert. Oh man. I can't wait till they get out of the desert,
that's what I'm
right?
Talking about. Bro.
But like when I was watching it, I had no expectation for them to like. I didn't know that the show was going to ramp this way.
Because you were 14 and anime was bad.
Anime's hype. I'd already seen the peak stuff.
No. Anime is hype. I'm saying anime at that era was shit. Like here's the thing. Okay, all anime.
I mean, I don't agree with that opinion from the get-go.
It was what I mean is that it was really poorly paced. Like a lot of the shit was really, really poorly paced.
I was watching like Haruhi for
Haruhi
like
really
at the same time. I don't know. I'm broadcast order. It was hype. I was having a good time. I was watching shows and having a good time.
Because you were 14.
Maybe there has always been good media and bad media existing simultaneously.
I mean, I think that most of the anime in that time, like pretty much all of it, was just it started really shit. But you didn't have anything comparing it to go off of.
No,
and then it
I'd
got
already seen Akira. Like Paprika was like a thing around the same. And that's like
movies.
that's
I'm
film. That's film.
I
mean, I'm like Cowboy Bebop and Trigun are already things that I'm familiar with. At this, heck, Hunter is a thing that I've.
Bad.
That's a conversation for a different time. One that I'm actually we'll bridge that subject later. we'll do a Bebop episode.
It has a bad OP. I'm kidding.
It
was a joke. It was a joke.
What the hell?
It was a joke. I do think the show is bad, though.
I would say I think maybe it's a little overblown. I think the last 3 episodes are like excellent.
That's what I'm saying. Is that every show that people say is amazing has a really good ending, and the rest of it is shit. And then they just forgot that they watched bad things when they were children.
It's very common for like bad anime ends to be a thing, right? Any show with a good end is already like put in like a beloved status just by virtue of like ending well. If it opens good
dumb.
and it ends well, then you're in the conversation for an all-time classic.
I think that is ridiculously stupid.
What other medium has?
Here's the thing. I think saying that something having a good end is more important than a good beginning is just absurd. Because here's the thing, Raph. You don't have to watch the end. You have to watch the beginning.
I mean, you don't gotta watch nothing.
But if you're gonna watch
it. I mean, if you're gonna watch it. The first
that's why
I would say the anime problem is usually that like there's an interest, like if we're thinking about like the light novel era of anime that we live in currently, right? There's usually like an interesting hook that gets either like fumbled or prolonged for way too long, right? I think that's the far more common issue than like, oh yeah, this ending is excellent, but you have to like trudge through some stuff.
Oh yeah, anime nowadays just doesn't have an ending.
Exactly. So I would say like that situation is usually the thing to worry about. The other aspect, the other scenario, way more rare, right?
I just think that like, why not, like Darling in the Franxx, right? I prefer Darling in the Franxx over a lot of this shit because, the ending is really bad. Like, the last few episodes are really bad.
But what if it was really good? So good that nothing else has ever made you feel close to the same way ever again.
I don't think it's a fair comparison because I think that the earlier episodes are better.
I mean, I agree that I think the early episodes of Darling in the Franxx are better than Conclusion. I'm of the opinion that I think that show jumps the shark like way off the deep end.
Yeah,
right?
and my point though is just like I don't give a fuck if a show jumps the shark because then like if 90% of it is good and the 90% of it that's good is the first 90%, honestly, that's sick as hell. Like, let's talk about Domestic Girlfriend for a second.
You're gonna turn the Gurren Lagann episode into the Domestic
I'm turning
Girlfriend episode.
every episode
I can't
into
forgive this.
Domestic Girlfriend.
I cannot forgive this.
Domestic Girlfriend notoriously has the worst ending in manga that I have ever read.
Ooh.
It is atrociously terrible.
You're familiar with School Days, right? I think that's the bar.
It is the worst ending of any manga, period. Okay? But the rest of it is really, 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 really good. And so when you get to the ending, for me, it's the perfect time. And maybe this is just like the Kingdom Hearts fan in me, where like I sense it coming and I'm like, oh, where's my good time hat? Let me grab it. I'm going to need this going forward. Bam. You put that bad boy on. Suddenly, your serious show turned into a really good comedy.
But what if your serious show was just comedic at the points where the writers intended for it?
Gurren Lagann isn't funny.
Gurren Lagann's pretty funny.
I did not laugh or smile a single time when watching the show.
You don't think that's funny? You don't think Brotherly Combining?
No.
Like, you don't think Upside Down Guns?
No, that's the thing. I think it's funny when you describe it. Every time you describe those things, I'm just like, that's funny. It's because you're a good storyteller.
I can't even animate like that, dog. If I could tell that story with lines and expressions on the confidence in Kami's smile while he's holding that gun upside down, like, I know what the fuck I'm doing. Be afraid. It's way better than any way I could describe that.
You're just such a good salesman. Because all of that
Why
sounds
is he doing
hype.
this? Why is he hyping me up like this? I don't know how to
All
feel
of that
now.
sounds
This is a
good.
new tactic. It's working, Dylan. You're confusing me right now. I don't know how to feel. Like, it's not that the stuff that you love is good. It's just you're good, so good at talking about it. You're so charming and witty. Damn, what's he doing to me?
This is my trick when I'm losing is I just start complimenting the person.
Oh my god, it works though.
Why do you think I do it? But no, but seriously, like when I watched that episode, I did not find it entertaining at all. I didn't think it was funny. I didn't think it was entertaining.
Hear me. Let me ask you. When you were watching it, were you watching it by yourself or were you watching it with the boys?
I was watching it by myself.
You gotta watch it with the boys and come back.
Anytime,
I don't think it's a prerequisite for this show to be good.
Anytime someone says you have to watch it with the boys, you gotta play this game with a lot of people. You can't do that. Go into that alone. That means it's bad.
That's not.
The thing
that's
you
not
like
what it
is
means.
the people.
The people make it better. Even if you were watching, like if you were having a book club experience, right, where like you're experiencing the media individual, and then you come back to someone else and you talk through bits of it. Even that's better.
You don't understand. If I'm saying that I don't like the show when I watch it by myself, and then you say no, but you'll watch it when you're hanging out with the boys and you watch it.
No joke is funny alone in a room.
I disagrey.
Oh,
I've cracked up laughing many times.
It takes a special kind of joke. It takes
I
Nietzsche
laughed the
joke.
entire time I was reading the ending of Domestic.
Okay,
I didn't stop laughing.
That's a pretty good joke.
I was cackling. It was 3 a.m. and I was alone in my apartment.
Oh my god! All right. On screen right now is Simone and Nia.
Which one of them is Gurren Lagann?
So Gurren is the head, Lagann is the body.
I knew.
Actually, inverse that. Fuck. Gurren mean cringe.
You made a mistake.
I made a mistake. Oh damn it. So Simone's girlfriend, future wife, is this figure on the
future dead person.
Future dead person is the daughter of other future dead person that Simone kills, right? And that plays into the whole like growing scale of like destroying previous father figures of humanity, a thing. Also, I should note, there's a series of secondary content called the Parallel Works. Yeah. If you only watch the Lord Shinome one, that would be okay. You should watch that. It's so cool.
I will never consume side content.
What about the 358 over 2?
That's not side content. Kingdom Hearts 358 Days Over 2 is a core story.
I understand. The problem is that it's a core story. That's a conversation for later. Anyway.
It's also the best Kingdom Hearts game.
Oh god. So there is a sequence. Let me talk about the raw power of good animation, which shows up very regularly.
I have no respect for good animation.
Oh my god!
No, I'm kidding.
There is a scene when Simone is about to approach the current antagonist, the current king of the world, so to speak, right?
Yeah.
And he's got reluctance in his heart, And then Nia manifests, and she's like, "Big boy, I'm ready to go. Let's do this. Let's kill Dad." And Gurren Lagann's like hatch opens up, and the way that the clouds spill over his hatch while he's looking over the sunrise, and like Simone's hoodie and Nia's like skirt start billowing in the wind, and they both jump into the cockpit and start flying out, is some of like the best 30 seconds of motions ever created by human hands. It's so good. There's stuff in Fooly Cooly that looks comparable to it that is also very good, but it like. I would not say Gurren Lagann is like a 24/7 Sakuga. For those unaware, Sakuga just means good drawings or good lines. So it's just the good parts. But the good parts in Gurren Lagann are so good. They're after he, so like at the final fight, eventually. I described the like cascading robot situation, right? Where they got robots piloting robots, piloting robots.
Turtles all the way down.
Turtles all the way down. Exactly. So they're fighting the main antagonist, and like maybe like the final like 30 seconds of this like of the like robot portion of this fight. First off, Lord Genome, like a science reconstruction of Lord Genome, gives the hardest line about like I might not have been a good father, but I'm here for you now, and he gives them their spiritual energy. Whatever, that's very hype. Any other show that would have been the best part. Gurren Lagann is mid. But
Gurren Lagann is mid. That's the video.
Oh my gosh. All right. But so they have the whole cascading robot situation. They're flying towards the antagonist. And the way the sequence animates is like the perfect like contextualization of the journey that they've been on. Because what the antagonist does is he like punches each robot like one at a time, right? So he'll like fight one robot, and this like outer shell will like evaporate away,
like
right?
Matryoshka dolls.
Yeah, exactly. The nested robots keep like jumping out from each other in like a very well choreographed fight sequence, right? Mm-hmm. Until like they're down to like the OG Gurren Lagann, right? And Vero, who is voiced by Ocarina of Time Link, I should note, by the way.
Weird.
Yeah, he throws off like little Gurren Lagann, just head with the drill, physically like tosses him at the antagonist. He's like, "Simone, go for it!" And then like he punches out like that last layer of robot until all that's left is Simone, the man, naked. Physically,
why is he naked?
The circumstances. It's a why is Mickey Mouse shirtless situation. I could have an answer for you. It'll take like an hour.
You know what?
But Simone is there naked, fighting against like the enemy of humanity, the like spirit of liberals. He's there like the turbo left wing environmentalist versus the raw energy of growth. Are they physically boxing each other in like a hand animated black and white ink drawing, and then they just like box for like maybe like 30 seconds to a minute, and then it's so beautiful, and it's silent the whole way through, while there's like a flashback of like Nia like on the floor like looking upward at the fight, and like superimposing the same imagery of like Nia fighting or Simone fighting her old man, and it's the good stuff. And then Simone hits him with the line that of like a drill is a man's spirit, a drill is a man's soul. Each revolution like advances our own humanity, whatever. And then his hand becomes a drill. I shit you not, his hand becomes a drill. His blood comes up and it forms a spiral, and he punches through the antagonist, big hole, big Gynax, cross explosions across the whole universe. Everyone claps. It's the best. Watch Gurren Lagann.
Well, I guess that's all there is to it.
Yeah.
If that appeals to you, watch Gurren Lagann. That doesn't appeal to me.
If you like joy, excitement, and theoretically combat.
Notoriously, I hate joy.
Oh, come on, Dylan. Come on. I'm gonna teach him how to love.
I don't have fun. We
just talk about domestic girlfriend. Like in the comment if you want us to talk about domestic girlfriend. Come in here. We're gonna do it regardless of what you do.
I want to say that this podcast has portrayed just a horrible version of me, but I think it's just the real me.
I mean, I think if this is an accurate reflection of who we are as individuals.
I hate everything except for Domestic Girlfriend and Dune.
And Kingdom Hearts, but only sometimes.
No, I love all of Kingdom Hearts.
Ooh, okay.
Yeah.
We'll talk about
when
those
you
parts.
walk away.
You won't hear me
say, please.
Oh, baby.
Don't go.
Who the hell do you think I am? I guess I'm no one. All the lights in the sky are friends, brothers. Never forget.
Let me know in the comments if I'm right. Don't do that, though, because you'll get cyberbullied. So
I'll defend you either way.
Just agree with Ralph and then secretly write me a letter telling me that I'm correct.
Dylan, deep down inside in my heart
I
of
won't
hearts,
tell you my
know
address.
you're right.
If you know it, you know it.
All right.
Peace out, everyone.
Take care.